What is the bottle?
Joy. I can't believe they got you guys Coke in the bottle. That's real nice.
I love Coca-Cola.
That's varsity Coca-Cola, yeah. It's definitely not a glass though. That's high rolling.
Okay.
Good.
I guess I should introduce you. That would be helpful.
Hey, thanks for joining us. I'm so impressed. Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to Women in Construction Day. I'm going to introduce you to Kristen Olson. Also weird not to call you Dale.
You call me.
We actually met nearly 20 years ago, playing lacrosse out in Japan, which feels very strange that was that long ago. Yeah. Was that 20 years? It was almost.
Oh.
Yeah, it hurts a little bit. Since then, she's got a fantastic story, so I won't spoil your by introducing you too much more. But super excited to have you and enjoy.
Thank you. You guys, I'm so excited to be here. This is wild. I do some speaking. I'm going to tell you about my background, mostly to conjure some thought about you guys, but today is about you. We're going to get into some conversation around leadership and empowerment, but it's supposed to be way laid back, way fun, eat. You don't need to take notes. You don't need to do anything. I designed this speaking opportunity just for you guys. So there's a ton of copy on the notes, which I would, meaning like a lot of writing, which I would never normally do. However, I'm going to make this whole deck available. So if you want to ever go back and revisit and do some of these exercises, it's all there. It's all available. So you can do anything right now other than hang out, have fun, and tap in. So I'll talk a little bit about me. I'm going to try and move kind of quickly because we do have a small group, so we have time to do some breakouts and focus on you guys, which is really super fun and awesome. But I'll tell you about my journey, most of it. But it is wild. We played lacrosse. Literally, we met, I think, in Japan, or maybe flying to Japan.
Flying to Japan.
Yeah, so it's cool to see, like, what I call my varsity humans, my fellow athletes, doing really intentional things in the professional space and bringing strong, intentional women together to have conversations like this. So it's kind of crazy. You never know where you're going to meet your future opportunities, so be nice to people around you. Okay. I swear it worked when I did it last time. There we go. Okay, so today, agenda, easy, fun. We're going to get to know each other, understand why we're in positions of power, how we can embrace that power and feel a deeper sense of self, and how we can use that for the greater good as conscious inspirers or influencers, personally and professionally as leaders. Who's familiar with social media? Yeah, I know, for better or for worse, that's a whole conversation in itself. But the term influencer is everywhere, and it's a lot. From Kim Kardashian to, you know, the Nuggets head coach or what have you. Everyone's an influencer, but it's really like an old school idea because like these are our leaders. These are the ones that we're following. The whole reason influencer happened or started to be a thing from social media is they were influencing people to do a certain something, buy a pair of shoes, use a certain skin product, whatever. But really it's just old school word of mouth and leadership. So I intentionally call this influencers in real life because influencer is a little bit cringy, but I want us to embrace it today and take it to our real life because all of us in our own ways are actually leaders and influencers just by being us, and that's what we're going to unpack today. And I love it when it's my fellow females, especially if you got kiddos or you're a coach, you have young women in your life because this is such a conscious conversation for them, especially with social media. We got to be the in real life thing versus what's happening on our phones. Today's cool because we're not going to create anything new. We're just going to reveal what's already there. So that's what I'm saying. It's really laid back, but it should be a really awesome conversation for you guys to recheck in with yourselves and be like, man, I've actually done a lot of stuff that I don't think about, and we're going to feel that internal credit. I think a lot is the writing's on the wall when you're a young human. If you think back to your young self, there's probably things that you did that make sense to who you are to this day. I'm from Colorado. I was born in Denver. I went to Eagle Crest High School. This is me at Eagle Crest High School. So like I said, it's really cool to be back here. And then I coached for 10 seasons, 9 years at Grandview High School, women's lacrosse. So it's super awesome to be like almost in my backyard. But this is me at Eagle Crest. And I remember them taking this photo and I was like, whatever you do, just don't put this in the yearbook. And of course it made it. And it says, I really look up to Michael Jordan because he stuck his dream and no matter what anyone else said. And I was so important that they misspelled my name at the bottom of my junior year. So that's a good little Eagle check right off the bat. But as a young person, I had no conscious conversation of, you know, diversity, inclusion, equality, what have you. But I was always attracted to leaders or influencers, Michael Jordans, that did stuff their way and didn't compromise a lot. Not conscious conversation, it was just always there. So as I'm saying this stuff, kind of think back to your young self and be like, who did you look up to? Like what kind of drove the path in a certain way? And as we go through this, I want you to recognize some patterns that kind of stuck there before you're even consciously making some of these choices. Today's goal is real simple: feel heard, feel seen, feel ready. So we're gonna hear and see all of us, and then I want you to take in that skill set so we bring that out to the world. Because the more people are seen and heard, the more they're gonna be open to what it is you have to say, and that's where the leadership opportunity authentically is, versus this old school course of this is how you do it. My quick 411, this is me in college, lacrosse. Right out of the bat, I have a podcast and I always say God, universe, Madonna. I'm a huge Madonna fan. There's larger order in play, whatever you believe. I was the oldest of 4. I was the only girl. I had 3 younger brothers. So right out of the gate, God, universe, Madonna was like, you're going to figure this out. I have my 3 younger brothers. Thank goodness I was the oldest. I was the biggest for a while. Now they're all 200 plus pounds, 6 feet tall, big old animals. 2 military, 1 great lacrosse player, blah, blah, blah. So right out of the gate, like, we had to use our voice and fight to be heard and seen. I was a lifelong athlete. Lots of my skills came through sports, such an advocate for young people in sports or theater or music or whatever the passion piece is. I was fortunate to play at George Mason University. I was a walk-on. Nobody had any inspiration or the East Coast teams that were really strong to take on a Colorado kid because the game just wasn't developed back in the day. They were like Colorado, like so I actually turned down scholarships, walked on, and the beauty about being really young is you're really naive and you don't know where you don't really belong yet. But I should have been there, freshman year, my sophomore and junior year. I earned my spot, and I did the work, and I was a 3-time captain. After college, I got into CrossFit. Does anybody know CrossFit? Okay, you might have an eye roll or two. It is a little cultish, and I can poke jabs at it because I'm a major enthusiast. It's provided a lot for my world. It was an awesome competitive outlet after lacrosse in college had ended. So got into that, went to the games 5 times. 2011, my team actually got 2nd in the world, so that was really cool. And recently, I wanted to get back into running. You know, CrossFit, we don't run enough. And I had some friends that did the Dopey Challenge, and it's actually 48.6 miles in 4 days. It's a 5K, 10K, half, full, and we completed that in January. So, I don't love running. People say they love marathons, like, all right, it's fine. But it was a phenomenal challenge. It was just cool to see, again, you think about your own journey, how one thing has really led to the other without some of my conscious thought. Of course, I love competing. It's a great outlet and a privilege to be able to do some of these things. But it was good for my personality just to be training and focusing on something. Alongside that, entrepreneurship was big. Just like I said in my Michael Jordan quote, as soon as I got out of college, I was done having a coach or a boss. I had a 5th year because I tore my ACL. Lots of life lessons in that. That's a whole speech. But I knew whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to do it on my own. I didn't care if I was living under a bridge, hustling this business, like we're gonna figure it out. And sometimes we were close to that because entrepreneurship is really hard, but I was ready to not have a boss. So I started Colorado Rising Stars Lacrosse, and lacrosse is traditionally a wealthy white kid private school sport, and I wanted to diversify that because it had taken me all over the world to Japan to meet incredible people and do incredible things, and it wasn't big in Colorado yet. So I started to learn how to provide lacrosse opportunity for free and align with different kinds of companies. Like Cliff Bar came out and they would pay us to help promote their bars, and then we would be able to pay for fields and refs, and then kids could come play for free, or we'd go to school field days and teach a lacrosse demo to all the kids at the school. So just this creative strategy, again, not conscious conversation of like, how do I do diversity and inclusion? How do I do this? These are just core values of mine that I was like figuring out a way. So again, as I'm saying this, think about you, like maybe how you've maneuvered or initiated things without conscious thought, just to make some changes that align with your own core values. From that, I learned the marketing and branding. I started KO Alliance, my company now. We consult with health and wellness companies, and we help them align with key community voices. So this was all, Sierra Lacrosse and KO Alliance was really starting early 2000s. This is before Instagram and social media. I worked with a lot of startups, and so we were using key community voices, coaches, leaders in a business. We're happy and saying, here's our product, here's this. And I was always very intentional who I worked with. It was companies and products and stuff I believed in. And then Instagram took off, and influencers took off. And I was like, oh shit, okay, we've been doing this. However, people I worked with weren't necessarily the Kardashians, or we weren't, selling Fenty makeup or like these kind of things. But this exact strategy was a real thing, and I knew that it worked. So KO Alliance really focused on strategic partnerships and influencers, leaders, with a very intentional and integrous approach to it. Not necessarily what you always see on social media now, because there's such a power in it. So that's about me, and then from that led to my podcast, what I have now, Turmeric Tequila. Lots of people have podcasts right now, but it's a beautiful open platform where you can talk about anything. You can bring out people who have really incredible stories that otherwise don't want to be influencers to tell the truth, and that's kind of the passion piece now. So everything has kind of led to the other. So again, just be thinking in your mind maybe how like one thing's led to another, maybe not even professionally, but like personally in your own life, how it's gone from one to the other. And you know, there might just be something bigger looking out without the super consciousness, but also just how the pattern is unfolding. The biggest thing about me, I'm most passionate about, if you want to know me, I have 3 rescue dogs, and they are my heart and soul. I probably have dog fur on me right now, so you're welcome for bringing that to the party, but that's the heart and human piece right there. We went through this, so I'll buzz through it, but oldest in me, unconscious leadership from the get-go. Athlete and a captain, I learned right away that leading by example was the thing. Me telling you, like, I didn't want to be told, like I said, I didn't want a boss as soon as I got out of college. I knew that me being like, this is what it is, isn't the way. I knew I had to live it and walk in it. And fitness was like a great outlet for me to physically show, like, okay, see, I'm committed to this, see, I see a goal, see, I'm training for this. And then success or failure, I was just in it, and that's kind of my narrative of leading by example. Lifelong athlete, life skills through sports. I talk about this. That's why I was asking, you know, do you have kiddos that, especially daughters or granddaughters that are doing athletics? There's so much that comes through this, team building. You get to see how other people do things. You get to work with people maybe you've never crossed paths with. There's so much through sports that aren't just like this traditional, like, here's how you get along with people, here's how you be nice, here's how you share, whatever. The consistent leaders, that was really big, and that led to like the personal and professional entrepreneurship of understanding the internal and the external success, and seeing these leaders and start having more conscious thought of how I'm intentionally put this in my life and how some stuff's just playing out. But as I got older, I was being more intentional and getting more connected to what I felt was internally successful outside of these external success points, gold medals, winning championships, whatever. This is us at Grandview, one of our kids. Zan, this is my brother, Todd, before he quit his corporate job and went into Army Special Forces. We coached for 1 year, and this was a really cool transition in my world because this was when social media started to take off. So we've got my lacrosse company now transitioning to K Alliance Marketing, and I'm coaching, so I'm seeing my kiddos start to take in this. And this is where I was like, okay, so I'm an old school philosophy fan. I'm really big on like reality is nothing more than applied meaning. If I tell you this is a purse, that's what we call it, a purse, like we're coached in that. So if the cell phone's out, I'm thinking like, man, if all of our kids are digesting their reality through this, who's in control? And if a lot of it's marketing and branding, what I'm doing, shit, I'm kind of responsible. Like I feel connected and responsible for this. Like I have responsibility in my leadership, and if I'm promoting brands, voices, humans, whatever, through this, and I see my kiddos directly impacted by that and are following it, we have to do something here. And this is before we really understood like filters and how you could change like your body shape, and we didn't even know these capabilities, and like we didn't know how fake it was. Me being in the business, I was like, that's not real. Like I'm in fitness every day with very fit humans at CrossFit. Like I promise you, this cover of the magazine is not the real thing. But my young freshmen to high schoolers, they don't know that, and they feel these extraordinary pressures, things that I didn't have because I didn't have a cell phone in high school, that we didn't face. So I was like, damn, we got to do something if we're creating their meaning, if that's what the cell phone is. So that's where the podcast started, and I really wanted to get people that maybe didn't want to be influencers. Does anybody have a desire to be an influencer on social media? No shade if you do. Anyways, I think it's really great. I'd actually applaud if you did, because we need good people saying good things. And I get why nobody raised their hand, because it's like, ugh. However, if you sit back and you look at your story and your own journey, I guarantee you there's some piece of it that I would love for our young people, our young women in particular, to hear. Like real people, influencers in real life doing things that would inspire and change the trajectory of our young people hearing that story. So it's just like you being you. So it's like, well, shoot, let's start this podcast and get real people doing real things that want to get on the mic and share the story, that have zero desire to be an influencer. And yet I know being in the business, their story will make a difference. It will impact our young people, and hearing what's real, what's attainable, what's within reach, what's from Denver, Colorado, or Eagle Crest High School. Like, it's so different when it's close to you. So all those things have kind of led from one to the other, and that's where we're at with the podcast today, and speaking in situations like this. I know there was some cringe with that idea of being an influencer, but if you can switch that narrative at any point in time to being open to share your story, to understanding that it's bigger than me. It's never about me. It's never really about us as an individual. It's about our purpose and aligning with that and sharing whatever gifts you have with the greater good. And this can always sound like very overwhelming, like what do I have to do, whatever. It's small things. And one of the running themes of this is small gestures, large leadership. Like the little in-between things are the things that really matter. We'll unpack this a little bit more, but just for right now, think of that idea of you don't gotta be the influencer influencer, you don't have to do all the posting, do all the things. I just want you to have this conscious mindset that people are aware of what you're doing, especially when you're 21 out of however many people in this large company, like 21 women, that's not a lot of women in the mix. So there are eyes on the situation, there are things, and it's not pressure to do more, it's more just an awareness to just be and be aware. Because it's bigger than you, it's bigger than me. This is where I like to unpack the digital influencers versus the influencers in real life. Sort of recovered, but in your mind right now, just be thinking like, who inspires you? I've got a picture of my mom and grandma next, like the strong women in my life that were before me, the coaches that I had, or teammates that, maybe they didn't even know they had a sweet shot or great defense, or like little things that really stuck out to me that maybe were conscious or unconscious, but those were actual influencers in my life. So take a quick second and just think on your own in your mind, like who do you really look up to? Like who's the person in your life, past coaches, parents, whatever, that inspired you? And as I said, most of the people that inspired me most had no followers. My mom is on Instagram, I don't think she knows. But they have no desire to do anything. I wish they did because they have a lot of great things to say. Meaning your impact and influence in this world is far beyond what you are aware of. You might not have millions of followers, but you have the people around you, likely the ones you care about the most, inspired by you every day. And that's why we're here. So just let that resonate. Know that people are watching in the best way. Here's my fam. Of course, I have been on in the branding because that's part of the job. That's my mom and grandma, two of the strongest humans I know that continually inspire me every single day. You guys are already an accomplished leader. I know this is a little bit rah-rah, but I do want you to sit and think about this as a mom, as a sister, as a teammate, as a coach, as a volunteer, whatever some of these titles are that you carry, they're big pieces. And if you ever did have inspiration to be an influencer, have millions of followers, great, but like your daughter's watching you, that's probably what you care about the most, or your granddaughter, or your fellow employee, or if you coach kids, like these are the things that actually matter. And that our responsibility really is just in that consciousness and knowing that it matters. It's, again, not this big overwhelming thing, it's just like, you really are out there influencing our young people or your fellow constituents every single day in all the things that we do. Driving this home, small gestures, large leadership. I love the casualness, leadership, especially in the corporate space, can be, here's what it is, and here's what you do, and you gotta be authoritative, and da-da-da-da. That's not always the case. When people feel seen and heard and you create and hold space for them, they'll lean in and they'll listen to you and they'll want to work with you versus have to work with you. Keep this in your back pocket. Your successes, before we get into you guys as individuals, I do want to talk about this. I really put this whole speech together specifically for you guys. Hence there's so much up here that you can take with, but 8.2% of the company, that is wild to me. I don't think I've ever given a speech or even been on a team, and again, I grew with 3 brothers, so I'm used to a lot of dudes, where it's been this small of women representation. So it's an awesome thing, and this isn't to overwhelm with responsibility, and you don't have to be the poster child for women or whatever like that is, but just understanding that like there's only a few of us in the room. Like let's have this underlying connect, at very minimum, that I see you, I'm in it with you, and like you need something, like I got you. We're one of 21 humans. That's not a lot. And you're living it every single day. The average person will spend 90,000 hours at work over a lifetime. So love or hate each other, we're in this together, and we're spending a lot of hours of our life together. Whatever it is, money you're making, whatever, we have finite hours that we're walking around here, and we're spending a lot of this time together. I don't even take this hour with us together for granted, because I know you're busy, you have lunch, time is valuable and it's flying by. It's a big deal. So I really encourage people to take a second, get to know the people you work with, or have practice with, or train with, or whatever it is, because this is valuable hours of your life that's moving through, and you're working together. So I think just that in itself, that stat to me is alarming, but also awesome in knowing that, like, I'm gonna spend a lot of time with you. Like, let's figure it out. Let's treat each other as human beings, hear, respect, and understand each other as much as possible. Be open, hold space, feel empowered. It does start with us. We won't go full Brene Brown on you today, but just a little bit. What's that?
Brene Brown.
Yeah. Going to that level, maybe one day. So this is the first exercise. I'm going to read it. I'll share a quick story, and then we're going to get into groups, or maybe since the way we're set up, we can maybe just go one by one. We'll see. As individuals, so this is the first exercise. Think of a time in your life where you were really proud of what you did and took a stand. Maybe people knew about it, maybe not. It was a defining moment in your life, no matter how big or small. Recognizing the power, feel that internal feeling of strength, and sit in it. So I will reread this. I'm going to tell you my quick example, because it's not a traditional, I won the CrossFit Games or blah, blah, blah. It's when I was about, oh God, I think it was like 9 to 12, we'll say 10 for all intents and purposes. Young person, kiddo, we're going to play golf. I'd never played golf before with my dad, my 3 brothers, I don't know where my mom was. We're not golfers by trade. My dad I think was good, but had never played. And I was familiar with golf, I knew what it was. I didn't really know like the rules. I knew there was a tee time and I think we had borrowed clubs. Long story short, we went out there, I didn't understand that there's a guy's tee and then a girl's tee. And I'm the oldest of 4, so I'm the girl, I'm the, the biggest kid at this point. I'm the leader, conscious or unconscious, and we're walking out there, my dad's like, oh, Kristen, you go to the women's tee that was closer and easier, and the guys go here. And I was standing there, again, I don't, not, gender equality, I have none of this conversation. I'm sitting there like, oh, hell. I've never played this before, but you're not sending me to the easy tee. And I'm like, my younger brothers go to the harder, the guys tee, like, what, and I've never played golf, so we're not good. And my dad knows me at this point. I don't think he got him. He's like, whatever, go hit off the men's tee. There's people behind us. He's probably embarrassed. But I remember that feeling of being like, damn, before I walk in the room, before I do anything, as a 10, 12-year-old, you're telling me what I can or can't do. And this is, again, I'm young. I don't have this conscious conversation of equality or anything or men versus women. No. All I know is that before I get to even try, you're going to send me to the easy tee. And I even now, like, I think about it, and it just lights this fire of like, what the heck, like, this does not work for me. And I was mad, and my old self would probably be like, oh yeah, okay, we'll do it, whatever, people please, whatever. My young self was like, no, like, big old, not a tantrum, but I was like, I was just, my internal emotions were external, and I wasn't having it. So my dad lets me hit up the big tee, or the guy's tee, and it doesn't even get to the women's tee. I'm terrible. I probably whipped the ball a few times, but that's not the point. The point was that my young self authentically knew early on that I wasn't going to be told what to do, and that there was a better way in this. Like, something in this needs to be fixed, and that moment changed everything else that I did moving forward, whether I knew it or not. But that personality piece, that purpose, that me taking a stand in that moment that no one else knew except for me. My dad and brothers probably knew it because I was just not having it, whatever. But for me, it lit this internal fire of like, I'm not going to be told, and I'm going to figure out a better way to do these things. I don't care about golf. I don't care what it is. Women's tee, whatever. CrossFit, we have lighter weights, and blah. That's not the point. It's that when I get into these systems, I'm not going to be told how I'm going to perform or do or anything until I actually get to do it. And if I fail, so be it. But at minimum, I deserve an equal opportunity to be in the mix. And that's very much designed my entire trajectory up to this point. So in this, I will repeat this. I do want you to think of this time. It can be anything. Like, again, you won a big medal, you had a baby, you advised your daughter, whatever the story is, I want you to think of a time in your life where you took a stand. And it might be a really small thing, it might be a big thing, whatever, but I want you to sit there and think about it, and I want you to really feel that inner emotion, feel how you felt in that moment. I do want to maybe break into groups if possible, so maybe if the 3 of you could just share, and 4 of you, just wherever you are, just to be easy, take a couple seconds and then share with each other what that moment is. I know we just ate it, so we want to just kick in, but just share something. Take a couple minutes and share and get to know one another what it is.
You have many moments of emotion. Imagine that.
Right? You want to join in there? Okay.
I was all this together.
Yeah.
Amanda, you can tell me the answer.
Oh, yeah. Because I can learn all this.
It can be anything easy.
There we go. So that was you let her off. Go ahead, can you hear us? What? Go ahead. Yes.
I started the football team. That's okay. It's late now. I started back in the day. Did I want to play? Okay, that's all.
All right, a couple more minutes. If you're having trouble thinking something, don't overthink it. Just think about something small where you just took a stand and stood up for yourself. Maybe it was your first time voting or something along those lines, whatever it might be. Lean into that. if you had trouble thinking on something, that's okay. I want to plant the seed right now because sometimes, you know, we do it every day. We don't really check in with ourselves and think about all this stuff we've done in the past. But it is conscious conversation. So even after today, whatever, go home tonight on the drive home, just think about like, shit, what have I done? Like, think of all this stuff that's got me to this point. And I guarantee you something will flick up and be like, man, I didn't think that movement mattered as much as it did. But let's just have, does anyone, like, we'll go around really quick and just, does anyone over here want to share what their moment was?
We're quiet.
I know, let's hear it. You were back with a silly golf story.
I grew up in a domestic violence house.
Okay.
So, I had enough. I was 16 years old, and that was, my dad was drunk and drugged, and so I stole money for a deposit from the apartment.
Okay.
And I told my older brother and my siblings, I'm like, let's get out of here.
Wow.
And ever since then, my life has changed.
Hey,
And I'm
okay.
very proud of myself.
Hey, well, I want to give you a hug. I know COVID, we can't do those things. Thank you very much for sharing that. And absolutely. And man, our young humans, I swear to God, like, people worry about our future, but like, I see what our young people with social media and everything else, and taking a stand in real life. Like, I get the chills thinking about that. Thank you very much for sharing that. That sincerely means a lot. And the vulnerability in that to let you connect with your fellow teammates in this is extraordinary. So that itself is very, very powerful. I don't know how you followed that, but were you in? Do you want to share from over here?
Oh, I didn't have like a specific story specifically, but I just feel that, you know, there's many times that I have to stand up and whenever I'm with some of my guy friends and they just maybe say something that's ignorant or naive and it's just not respectful maybe to women or just people in general, but I just find myself taking a second to be like, okay, why do you have to say it like that? You know, just rewire their brains a little bit. Years ago, I would have just like let some of these conversations slide. But the older I get, the more I just realize it's all around me, and I have to correct some of my guy friends. Correct is the right word. I try to help rewire their brains a little bit, and I know this happens even in my close relationships. That's where men talk about women, and it's just kind of inappropriate sometimes. So like my dad and my brother, I'm just like, we don't gotta talk like that. Like, stop it. Just a little more of an open mind. So I catch myself standing up in conversations.
Good for you. And that's extra work. Like, I mean, I really applaud that. And as an influencer, like we're talking amongst like women in here, that makes a difference. I think they're listening way more than you think.
Yeah.
And hopefully it might take a few times that they might think before they speak.
Right.
My brothers don't always, but
Yeah.
that's remarkable. Those little things are huge. I really appreciate that. Anyone else?
I was like, I'll make Joanne share.
Okay.
She had a good one.
She had a good one.
Okay. I love that she's via Zoom. This is so awesome.
Yeah. Hold on, I haven't unmuted you. Okay, you should be able to talk now.
Technology's not
Wait, when can I hear you? Can I tell your story? Because I can't figure out how to unmute you. Are we enjoying the fact that I'm old?
Yes.
Yes. That makes me
Well, now I'm good.
Yeah, okay, let's hear it.
Here's Joanne.
Okay, my story, I was in my 50s, so I was not young, I was old. But I worked for Western Fords, I got transferred over to Barton. And the economy got bad in the 80s, and I knew that I wouldn't be having a job unless I found a different one with Barton, so I went to Scotty Barton. He told me, why don't you go into sales? I said, I've never sold a thing in my life. And he said, Joanne, I know you can do it. Your personality, it is what it needs to be. So I tried it out. And when I first went out in the field, I got out the Taco lady. And I wasn't here, I sold materials for Barton Supply. Most of them were Mexicans, they didn't understand English, or they made me think, no comprende, no comprende. So I went back to Scotty and I said, Scotty, it's not working out. And he said, well, don't be a quitter, think outside the box. So I did. I got a cooler and I filled it full of pop and soda. I went out in the field and I stood on the bed of my truck and I said, free pop, soda, and water. They came out with pants. And I said, I thought you didn't there knew English, and I told him, I work at Barton, I'm selling, I am your sales lady, blah, 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 blah. 2 years it took me to win those guys over because I think I was the first or second woman to be selling materials to home builders, to contractors, general contractors. On my 4th year, I ended up being top sales lady.
Hey.
So I'm really proud of that, and that was because I didn't fail to come. If I didn't know the answer, I told them I would get it for them, and I would, so I built their confidence in me. So that's my story.
Hey, thank you for sharing. That's amazing. That's a major takeaway. Sometimes you gotta make people believe, and that's a hard space to exist in. But the reality is, that is what it is. So congratulations, and way to be innovative and make it work.
Thank you.
I hope you feel better as well. Anyone over here want to share? We skipped over you guys. No?
I have a coaching one from my daughter when she was 7 or 8. We signed her up to play softball or baseball, I guess. It was like a dual thing, and they didn't have enough girls for a girls' league. So they were going to take these girls and put a couple on each team. And I was like beside myself about that because like, how if they do that, then not only are the girls going to get over the hoods, they're not going to play much. Yeah. So I volunteered to coach with music and all the girls, and we started the boys' league. And we ended up being undefeated, and they were just like little teams, but we were like, them girls, I'm going to show up in our cute little clothes and really girl it up. They're not all really like that anymore, but it was cool because I feel like the girls felt like they were powerful together.
Yeah.
So that was probably
That's what, and you're a young human, see, like, that's your normal. Like, you're not fighting for space from day one, you will at some point. But, like, this is your normal. That's remarkable.
just from my experience, I knew the little girls when they got stood up, they were not going to get it. Like, even if they were good.
Yeah.
They would either 1 or 2 girls on the team. So
Oh, and that had to be soul fuel for you to be connected and, you know.
the girls are a lot, but
Yeah, well, that's it. A lot is good, though. Thank you for sharing all those. I wish we had more time to get each person's, even if you, again, you couldn't think of something or someone's resume. Take some time later today to think about something, because you'll be like, oh man, I remember I did that. And it's a big deal. So again, the power is within. You're that person today. That pride, fire, motivation. I want you to physically feel those things and know how to access that. Because when you walk in a room or you go do something hard, that's what you can do. Like, be prepping to go compete or come in to do something like this. Like, I'm thinking like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know I got skills. I know I've done shit before, so I'm okay for whatever happens today. I want you to feel those things. You've done incredible things in your life. JV version of pretty wrong right there. How to access this? Again, this is a skill set. Leadership is a skill set you have to practice, and you've got to go back and revisit. Take a few breaths. Think about that moment and reconjure it up and feel it. Feel it and manifest it and walk in and let that energy be real, and watch how your body language changes, how you walk in the room changes, your tone of voice changes, everything. And it's something that you've already done, that's already there, that's in your back pocket at all times that you can connect with. All right. We kind of covered it. The pride of your success in your voice, modeling behavior, leading by example. That is the leadership we care about, especially in 2024. Influencers on the cell phone, influencers in real life, your fellow employees. It's how you're walking through this world that matters. And you've got all these skills that we just talked about that's already there, so just lean into it. Do it for others, it will positively impact you. Again, it was easier for me to be like, oh, it's not about me, like it's bigger than me, blah, blah, because it is. It's not really about me, it's for the greater good. People are conscious consumers, they're aware and inspired, especially our young people. This is another good to break into groups. But this is a really good takeaway because we don't connect with our people outside of work enough. Our family, again, we're spending 90,000 hours of our life in work. We have to have this conscious conversation of what's going on outside of work. Think of 2 to 3 people that inspire you, that have really had an impact on your life, and ask yourself, do they have any idea what they have done for me? So just think about that. Your mom, your sister, your coach, your fellow employee, what have you, someone that maybe had no idea, your soul cycle instructor, whatever. If you have access to that person, share it with them. This might change somebody's life. I love this saying, everybody's going through something. You never know. Somebody in this room might be in the hardest point in their life that they've ever been in, and we have absolutely no idea. You simply sharing, being like, you had impact on my life, that story impacted my life. You sharing that story, you taking a stand, you having innovative things. These things stay with me. Every time I speak, I pull something out. It stays with me in my life and my journey. You sharing that might change their entire day. It might change their week. It might save their life. So take a little time today and the rest of this week and share it with somebody that has had impact on you. Either way, know that you are that someone on a list somewhere and you have already done enough to be considered great. Let that sink in. Your kiddo somewhere, the kids you coach, your mom, your grandma, whatever, if I asked them, you would be that somebody. And if you don't believe me, I encourage you to go ask around and ask this conversation. You have to be like, am I someone that inspired you? Just be like, have I ever had impact in your life? Like, has what I said amongst my friends, does it matter? And I think you'll be surprised on what they say. The more you can acknowledge it, the more you can shift your energy and mindset, the more you have consistent awareness, the more it becomes a habit. So I want this to be conscious conversation and tap back in. I'm talking fast because I want to get to the next exercise. Finally, moments of being unseen and unheard will continue to happen, and I want to leave you with a tool for those to turn those moments into fuel to move forward. Because I had this constant conversation, especially when I coached for 10 seasons. There's no gold stars. You're not going to be seen and heard a lot of times. Sure, you win races, you get medals, you do certain things, employees, you get titles, whatever it might be. But the little things in between, doing the right thing when you need to, stepping up, using your voice, no one's sitting there saying, good job, here's a gold star, here's what it is. So we have to know when we have to award ourselves with those gold stars and have that acknowledgement of like, I did a good job, I did a big thing. And as women, I don't think we're championed in that way, and I would even say for our fellas too. I think culturally, it's not cool to be like, I did a good job today, like, way to go. It's like, thank you, oh yeah, thanks, we're modest, or, we're over here doing this. No, it needs to be like, thank you, I did a good job. If no one else sees it, I see it, I feel it, I'm proud of myself for doing this. So there's my gold star. I will read this exercise, and then I'll tell you a quick story just like the other one, and then we'll do our quick group thing. Make sure we're good on time. So there are no gold stars. You have to know your own value and worth consistently. Think of a time where you did something great. So different, before was like taking a stand. Now I want something where you did something great and no one knew about it, or you were unrecognized in the moment, you were misunderstood completely, what have you. I'll reread this one and tell you my example really quick. Number one, CrossFit. So we have a few people that know CrossFit. These are these things called muscle ups. There's all kinds of things in CrossFit. Gymnastics portion is not my piece. I'm more of like the heavy lifter and what have you. I don't want to be doing anything gymnastics. So this story not only changed my fitness life, but it changed my life years later in understanding how misunderstood I was in the moment. Number one, it's a super flattering picture, so we've become secure in showing it in groups. But this is me at regionals. So CrossFit, you do competitions to get to the CrossFit Games. It's like the Super Bowl of the fitness event, and you have to qualify. There's a team event and then there's an individual event. A lot of us that compete as individuals have decided to go as a team this year, so it was a big deal. We had all of our best players on this team, and in this particular event, there's 6 people on it, 3 men, 3 women. 2 women had to do 2 muscle ups for your team to even move on. So if you did complete those movements, you did move on, and then you therefore did not qualify. If you don't complete the work, you don't move on. So we have great gymnasts in my group, and the rings were low. They didn't want to do them, whatever the thing was. And I was the only one that had already done a workout that day, so I was already a little bit tapped. But I was like, sure, I can do these muscle ups. It's not my strong suit, but I can do 2, no big deal. Fast forward, we go to do them, and I get the first one, again, not great. Second one's not happening. Time's ticking down. The audience is literally about for me to hear, so they're yelling and what have you. I'm doing this stuff that I don't want to be doing anyways, but it's like 2 minutes. I'm not kidding, you shake out. Have you ever seen someone do like a push-up contest? It's real easy, and then they get to like whatever, they're starting to max out, and then they can't even push up because it's just done. These are little tiny muscles. Once it's gone, it's gone. That's how muscle-ups are. So I remember this moment, I'm like, shit, like, this is an extraordinary amount of pressure. Like, A, I'm not executing. B, the entire team is waiting for me to do this, and the clock is ticking. I don't have time to freak out. I don't have time to have a conversation. You can't sub out. It's like, I either get this or we don't qualify. It's cut and dry. You either do it or you don't. And thankfully, I get stressed out and like get the chills thinking about like anxiety is real to this day. I had competitive history in my back pocket where I could be like, okay, like the key piece to this, lacrosse is composure. I can't freak out. I can't have a meltdown. I can't like the only option is composure. You focus and you figure it out. If you look at my 2 teammates, they're freaking out. The judge is even like, holy shit, I hope you get this because like you're about to F it up for everyone. And in this, you can even see my hands, I have terrible, like it's hard, you want to stay real tight and be able to push out of it. It looks like shit, you're like good luck. Long story short, I got it. Somehow in the last minute, it was literally like 10-9 and pulled out of it, got it, and I'm thinking, I'm not kidding, like it stresses me out to this day. I was like, we did it. And I was so proud of myself. I'm like, I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe that happened. I can't believe I kept the composure, blah, blah, blah. I was proud of myself. Probably one of my finest athletic moments in 43 years of competing was that. And guess what happened? They took me off the team. So after 9 months of competing, and there was a little bit of ego play, and our coach was an old school type of guy. I said, if I'm not going to compete here, I'm not going to train. If we don't get paid for this, it's 5 hours of my life. Like, this is a full-time job. And he's like, we're taking you off the team. And that's it. We trained for 9 months. And at the time, I worked with Reebok, so I had sponsorships for the gym. We had our outfits. Like, I had set up the business side of it. So it was like a big breakup, fitness divorce, whatever you call it, where I was like, okay. Like, in my finest moment, this was digested as a failure. No one else on that team, I know in my heart, would have had the mental capacity and the composure to execute when there's an audience sitting there, the time's ticking, and you to do this weird-ass movement with nothing left. Took me off the team. So I want you to think of a time, and it kind of worked out, there's a lot to unpack on this, but years later, it took time for me to sit and think about the moment and be like, yeah, everyone else saw this as a failure. Not just my team, everyone in the audience was like, what is this, like, why can she not do it? And there was later the conversation, but I knew it was one of my finest moments. So wildly misunderstood, didn't get validation from for anyone around me, and I was taken off this team. I was reprimanded for it. And I know I still did the incredible right thing when I shouldn't have been in that position from the get-go. But not victim mentality or anything else. I'm so thankful this happened because now it makes me stand in secure space. However anyone thinks about me or what I'm doing, I check in with me and I know when I'm doing the right thing, even if everyone else thinks it's the wrong thing or a failure. So take a second and think about a moment that's, maybe off the cuff for you. This is a takeaway, don't read that yet. Where you had to execute or do something big and everyone else saw it as a failure or a loss, but you saw it as a win. So think about something. Maybe you became a mom before your family wanted you to. Maybe you took a job when your family wanted you to be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever it is. Take a couple seconds, maybe with your groups again, and just take some example different than the one before where you did something great that was unrecognized or misunderstood.
You're good at it.
I know mine.
What's yours?
One thing comes to mind. It's really the only thing I was So I had left Barton to go to his now trying to do a big thing. And then this is I would do an internal marketing department just as like right now. Yeah.
All right, about 1 more minute.
So like, it didn't look good from the outside. I had to make decisions for myself. That provided that next opportunity to that. But at the same time, it was a really good business because I what I was like.
But look where you are now, you're back.
A child who has kids are, in the long run.
All right, about 30 seconds.
Anyone else?
Other than that,
Oh, awesome. You have fire?
All right, let's bring it back to the group. I don't want to talk about much to make sure time. All right, let's do a quick group share. I hate to cut off. I love this year's happening, but maybe some other people did share before. Do you want to share over here? No? No? You're just let's hear it. Okay.
so it was when I left Vail.
Okay.
Single mom.
thank you for sharing. The bonding and the vulnerability is so powerful. I would imagine it being very young humans to see that position because they're paying attention. That's awesome. Hey, okay. Thank you. You guys, let's go.
Okay, so I used to work for Arvado Digital Services, which was the contractor for AT&T. So I was a lead technician in warranty exchange for cell phones back during BlackBerry season.
Oh yeah. I'm tracking with there.
And I was the lead technician, so my boss had gone on a big hiatus, and she was gone for like 3 months, so they put me into the interim manager position. And during that time, I was doing everything good, like we were getting everything done, and then they brought in a woman to be the manager when they told me that I was supposed to be the manager. And it turns out that her and the market manager had a thing going, and me and another employee found out about it, so he called the ethics hotline and like reported them, and then we both got fired because they found out that we were the ones that were. But we sent a message.
Yeah.
Before we got
Wow. Good for you for speaking up. That's terrible. I feel like you just sued them or something. But that's probably a podcast. Yeah. Good for you to do the right thing and getting the repercussions of it.
Yeah, we couldn't get anything done because we would go to her, and then she wouldn't do anything, so we'd go to her boss, which was him. He wouldn't do anything, so.
All the time. That's good. I think they probably took note from the company. I guess that doesn't happen. Good for you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone?
I got a good story over here, Bob, you want to share?
Okay.
No pressure.
Let's go.
We'll put Rocky on the spot there.
It can be kind of taken either way. So, most of the people that I work with on a regular basis know that shortly before I took this job, I was attacked by a pit bull, and I had my shoulder removed by the dog. I'm missing part of my arm. Wow. And so, eternally, I'm kind of a hot mess. Okay.
I like that.
So, anyways, I mean, I have my good days and my bad days or whatever, but like we did go to court and everything, and a lot of people think I'm crazy because I didn't destroy the dog owner's life. I mean, you can't get blood from a stone. And so to a lot of people, it looks like, you know, I took the front end and the failure of everything because I didn't sue them for hundreds of thousands of dollars, even though like a move like this is worth like $2.8 million. But I mean, you can't get that from somebody who doesn't have it. And you know, for me, the win situation is that number one, we've got like 20 small children who live in the neighborhood, and I almost died. If someone hadn't come and saved me, I would have been dead. And so there's no way a small child would have survived that. So I kind of look at it as like it was better it was me instead of one of the small kids that lived in the neighborhood. And two, it's like I have been rock bottom and at zero and started over with nothing. And I have my own house and everything else. And it's like, so why? I know I'm capable of surviving this. So why would I take away from somebody who's barely making it? So to me, that's the win. But everyone else is like, what drugs are you on? Can I have some?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's a grown-ass secure decision right there. And like to have that fortitude, that perspective, and that you hypothetically saved, you know, little kids' lives. Number one, we need better dog owners out there. Obviously, I'm an advocate for our furry friends, but man, you gotta be a good dog owner, and that's super unfair. Like it's at the wrong place at the wrong time. You have to deal with that. That's shitty. That's easy. Thank you for sharing that story. I think you're definitely, there's no gray area in that. You're the hero there. However, it's good. Do you guys have any stories you want to share? No? Okay. Well, here's the takeaway. There are no gold stores. Often the most important things that we do, maybe daily, will be thankless, unrecognized, and perhaps even expected. The important practice is to take a moment and give yourself that gold star and know that at the end of the day, you know where you stand and you're not going to waver. Bring this moment and energy into any situation that seems unsure, difficult, or thankless, knowing that it does matter, we recognize you, and you know that you are the incredible person that you are. And the gold star really at the end of the day is inspiring others, telling the truth. I'm big on tangibles and little things that remind us of who we are. I put this is like some of my gold medals and blah, blah, blah. And please note, I shared none of these stories. None of these things were the things that made me feel empowered, made me feel like a leader, made me feel successful. It was the little moments that nobody saw, that redeemed failures, me at the golf, whatever. This is all great, and all the accolades, titles, and things that we get are amazing. And pay attention to that in between of where you are giving yourself your own gold stars. So, just closing, but I'm big on tangibles, and I always joke with people I work out with, they're like, why do this? And they're always worried about this score, and I'm like, it doesn't change the work, like, you don't need a gold star, chill out. But I spray painted or painted gold pennies for you all as a symbolic gold star. I've got one in my pocket to channel the energy today for myself. And I painted pennies intentionally because they're monetarily essentially worthless and inflation's happening, whatever. However, the emotional value I think is massive, and I want it to be just a little reminder to keep it in your pocket, or if you give it to someone else, you want them to feel seen and heard, that it's there. So I want you to take this with you. Like I said, I've got one in my pocket. I've never given these out before, so it's special to just us. And they're flawed. I literally painted them myself, and you might think it's easy to paint a penny. So I can paint on my hands. So lots of intentionality around these. I know, all of us face a lot of hard things every single day, and we'll never talk about it. It's such a privilege to have an opportunity like this to exercise some of these conversations. But when we don't have that opportunity, I want, even if you lose this or say give it away, if you see a penny in everyday life, take that moment and be like, I'm awesome. I'm serious. I've done some really hard shit, whether people know it or not. I deserve to be here. I have something to say, and I'm going to stand up for whatever it is. You're so good. You guys get Coke in a glass. They're not still wet, but there's some more like still stuck. I think that's in Japan with you.
I'm so impressed with your painting.
Dude, I thought it was gonna be. I was gonna order some gold coins. I was like, man, I gotta actually paint them. So it's don't use it as a tool. When's the last time anybody's seen change? Like I hadn't really held change in so long.
When I lost,
I'm the change. Are you? Everybody gives me their change. I'm here for that. Yeah. I just so used to be like credit card. Okay, in closing, I know we're tight on time. I'll let you guys do your thing. As you can see, you don't need to make big changes to fully or further step into your power, leadership, and influence. Actions matter, but mindset is everything. Get the mind right, the body, and the choices will follow. People are inspired and impacted by your everyday, just by you being you. Knowing that feeling good about you inspires other people, and it makes them feel good about themselves. You're the proof that it's possible. Feel that, see it, carry it with you. I hope this brief time of reflection taps in and brings all of your power to the surface level and makes it easily accessible. I really do. I hope you guys all make this all available. I hope you, maybe once a month, once a quarter, whatever, sit there and think about all the things that you've done. A really good practice at surface level is just to go on LinkedIn or wherever your resume is and think about the job thing, and not even about the titles or your process in the game, but all it took to get to those things. It's a really easy practice to be like, shit, we've done a lot. Like, it's been a lot of reps. Closing exercise, you don't have to do anything major here. Just join me, like, thinking about that energy, feel how you feel empowered, and the shoulders can come back, the head comes up. Everything changes when you think about those empowering moments, and that's something that, like I said, I want you to take with you. Acknowledge the positive impact. Hang on to the gold star wherever you can, because I'm big on tangible stuff. You can feel it even in your pocket for something big. An interview, your daughter's birth, her first child, whatever, like the college, literally right here. Small gestures, large leadership. I really appreciate the time and energy. It's so amazing for me to be in my backyard where I grew up amongst people that are from where I'm from or now live where I'm from. It's a really cool thing, and you guys are 8.2% of the company. I hope you take power in that and can find connection within it. This is, like I said, I'm a Madonna fan. If you can think of somebody strong or whatever your power pose is, this would be something mine. Do we have Madonna fans? Oh, you guys are yeah. Okay. She's gonna be here like I think in 2 weeks or something. The tickets are out of control. And this is one of my favorite quotes, and I'll let you guys fly. Have you heard of Man in the Arena? Brene Brown does read it, but I read it before her. I'm on her team, by the way. Let it be known. But this is really powerful because it's not about a win. My brother sent this to me After a CrossFit competition, I should have been an easy qualified through, not a big deal, and something in the last workout happened, and I didn't make it. And there are success stories, by the way. I'm telling you all the failures, but that's kind of like what matters in the learning process. But he sent this to me, and it really did change my perspective on anything. It says, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows, in the end, the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." So it's not about the failure of success. It's you got to be out there in life and living and doing you and using your voice. And if you're failing, you're probably doing it right. They're greatly, gracefully. That is all I have for you today. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer anything. But I hope you feel a little inspired. I hope you feel a little bit more of yourself, a little bit seen, a little bit heard, and then you can hold that space for someone else, especially in the workplace. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. If you need, I've got a very gold penny. If you need an extra, I got a gold extra up here. Here's me doing the most in my influencer shirt. We're here to poke the bear, as we said. As a 12-year-old, and there's my information. And that's it. We're good. We do work. I really appreciate it. If you guys ever have questions or anything like that, I truly am accessible. I'm in North Denver now. But I love my local opportunities, so if you ever need anything, I really am here. I appreciate it. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you guys.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here and participating. This is really cool. I hope you guys feel empowered in the little moments throughout the day. You guys have these opportunities to always tap into those memories, like Kristen had said. Feel strong, and it's pretty cool. We're here to support one another. We don't always work in the same department or same areas, so it's always great to come together and then see how we can be stronger together. So again, thank you all for being here. Take leftovers. There's more food. I have a problem.
Yes, don't we all?
Take it all, yeah. Thank you for organizing this. You guys, it's really cool that you have somebody that's bringing things like this. It's a conscious, piece of the budget, piece of the priority, piece of the agenda to care about 21 humans that are such a minority in the larger situation, to tap in and access and have opportunity to connect. Like it's really a big deal. So it's cool, and I'd love to see some like our old school traditional male-dominated companies putting energy towards this. It's awesome. So thank you, Amanda, for doing that. It's the ripple effect.